drug companies, the food companies, the vaccine companies, they pay us hundreds of millions of dollars a year to hire and keep the reviewers to approve their products.
What the hell did you just say?
The drug companies, the food companies, the vaccine companies, they pay us hundreds of millions of dollars a year to hire and keep the reviewers to approve their products.
The drug companies, the food companies, the vaccine companies, they pay us hundreds of millions of dollars a year to hire and keep the reviewers to approve their products. If they can get every person required at an annual vaccine, that is a recurring return of money going into their company. I mean, just from everything I've heard, they're not going to not approve it.
Meet Christopher Cole, an executive officer at the FDA with over 20 years experience who claims to be directly involved in the approval process of the various COVID vaccines. What you're about to witness raises some alarming concerns, from the government's desire to mandate an annual vaccine for everyone, including young children, to the billions of dollars that exchange hands between our government and Big Pharma to railroad the approval process.
I'm a manager for the Food and Drug Administration. My agency oversees vaccines, vaccine approvals, and devices for vaccines. And my office clears all the emergency approvals. Because since COVID is under an emergency order, we expedite the approval of any emergency. I've been there for like 22 years. Biden wants to inoculate as many people as possible. So you have to get an annual shot. I mean, it hasn't been formally announced yet because they don't want to rile everyone up.
Is it going to be formally announced?
Yeah, at some point. I mean, it's going to be, and some of it's been talked about publicly, but it hasn't been talked about on like CNN or Fox or MSNBC or anything. But yeah, you'll have to get an annual. I think what's going to happen is it's going to be a gradual thing. Schools are going to mandate it.
Why do they need the third one?
Well, the same reason that you or I would need the third one, because the vaccine, it wanes. Mm-hmm. Your ability to fight it wanes. So the 3 will bolster your system. And then there will be an annual, eventually an annual, just like the flu shot.
For the toddlers?
Well, for everyone.
Okay, so the toddlers too then. We'll have to get it annually. Okay.
I mean, that's in the future. We're not sure. Mm-hmm. That might involve more studies.
The FDA was scheduled to meet this week to discuss approval of the Pfizer vaccine for children as young as 6 months old. They were hoping to have the new vaccine available by the end of the month, but the meeting was unexpectedly canceled, citing the need for more testing.
You guys have been in the news a lot the last couple of days.
Yeah, we're looking at trying to approve. I don't completely agree with the process. They're looking at trying to inoculate kids under 5 years old, mm-hmm. between 6 months and 5 years old.
What do you mean you don't agree with the process?
Well, I mean they don't have all the tests aren't there. So I agree with the thing that it is important to inoculate them. But you can't provide the parent as much a surety as you normally want to.
Despite Cole's concerns regarding the possible dangers of vaccinating young children, it seems the FDA is still willing to go through with this approval.
It's an EUA for all age groups, all designations, and then you have to get approved by specific age groups based on the study.
Do you think it's really an emergency for the toddlers?
Well, they're all approved under an emergency, just because it's not as impactful as some of the other approvals, emergency approvals, but they're all being approved under that standard. The efficacy data doesn't have to be as high. The standard is on emergency use authorizations is that it does more benefit than harm.
So how do you know it's already getting approved?
Well, they're not going to, I mean, just from everything I've heard, they're not going to not approve it.
I thought their cases weren't that high for 6 month to 4-year-olds.
They're not, but because it's related to COVID, it's under that approval process.
So how many babies did they have to jab, basically, for the trial?
I don't know. I haven't looked at the trial, how many people they did. There's always a chance of long-term effects, especially with someone younger.
Cole seems certain the federal government will require annual COVID vaccines, including young children, even though the efficacy, adverse reactions, and long-term effects are still unknown.
It's hard to find like pregnant women for these studies, and a significant number in order to be statistically accurate. I haven't tested enough on pregnancy, on vaccines and everything, and women, because they have different systems than men. And
They haven't tested enough?
Well, they have, but they haven't done enough prior. Now they've also been very good at promoting that, but that was an issue for a period of time.
Well, I feel like that's still an issue.
It is still an issue. It's still we haven't gotten there.
I read like a couple articles about it, and everything I saw was that the first 2 shots weren't effective.
There has been, yes, has not been as effective as they're expecting. I agree.
And if all that doesn't raise some eyebrows, just wait until you see what he says in part 2 about the billions of dollars exchanging hands between our government and Big Pharma, and what really goes on behind the scenes during the approval process.
There's almost $1 billion a year going into FDA's budget from the people we regulate. If they can get every person required at an annual vaccine, that is a recurring return of money going into their company.